Annie, would you please do roll call?
Yes, online we have Andrew Chorney, Cheryl Hartman, Chet Krauser, Alicia Beckholtz, MCAT, and Mel Fisher. In 206, we have Commissioner Strohmeyer, Slotnick, Ken Marshall, Carrie Powers, Vinnie Pavlish, Ann Hughes, Maddie Scott, Annie Cassie, Chris Lounsbury, Allison France, and we're welcoming Allie Kane. And we have Griffin Smith. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on items not on the agenda today?
No, I'll read through them. They're all perfectly fine. I would ask the.
Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda, 11 items, and we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Any questions or comments from anyone on the consent agenda?
All employment contracts. Just about.
Okay, motion, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Okay, very good. Moving right along. And Commissioner Vero has joined us. We will move into action items. We have 4 action items today. The first is brought to us by Chris regarding the opioid interlocal agreement with the city.
So thanks, Commissioner. So you might recall about a year ago when the opioid settlement was signed with the state of Montana and the Department of Justice, the state was broken up into abatement regions, and those regions can contain multiple cities and counties. But then for the larger metropolitan areas, Missoula County, Yellowstone County, Gallatin County, I believe Flathead County and one other, maybe Cascade County, were set up as their own abatement regions due to the population size that were in those jurisdictions. And so Missoula County and Missoula City make up one of those abatement regions. This is an update to the existing interlocal that establishes the oversight committee that will help to determine how the funds that go into the abatement regions will be distributed across the state of Montana. The original interlocal that we had signed just had 2 placeholder members on it. It had the chair of the Board of County Commissioners and the mayor, and now this fleshes out the full group. And so that will be for the city of Missoula, the mayor, the chair of the city council, the head of the city council, and the chief administrative officer. On the county side, it's the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, the chief administrative officer, and then the chief financial officer, and the county serves as the fiduciary agent, which is why we have the chief financial officer on that as part of that interlocal, or yes, as part of this interlocal. So that's really the only change for this. Once this is signed by both the city and the county, then the state will come to meet with that group to work on setting priorities, and then they will open the state portal for groups to be able to apply for the funding. And so the city has put this on their consent agenda for Monday night for the city council. It passed their city council committee process yesterday. And so we're just requesting the Board of County Commissioners sign on our side, and then after Monday, it will be fully signed and executed by both parties.
That's fantastic.
And then when do we expect the portal to be open?
So after this, we will need to schedule that first meeting where the state will come over and provide training on the process for that group. And so I don't anticipate that the state will be able to do that probably until we get into either September or October. And then
this year
they'll be able to, but I'm hoping that we'll have it open by the end of this year.
And does that,
We're a little dependent on when the state can come.
so does that mean that this group will decide how to spend the money, or would this group be entertaining requests from the nonprofit community, or both?
It's a little bit of both. So the hope is that this group will identify some priority areas for funding. The state already has a structure for what are eligible categories. That was all part of the decision related to the settlement for that. And then this group will set the priorities. The state will gather applications, and then those applications will come back to this group. This group could choose to make the decisions themselves. They could choose to engage the community in some way for that before they make their recommendations. And then they allocate the funding, and that goes back up to the state, which will then contract with those entities for the amounts that are assigned.
No shortage of process.
There's a lot of process.
So this group will be partnered with the state to some degree.
Correct. Yes.
You think about this?
I think we get this done.
Second.
Further discussion or public comment on this? Seeing none. Oh, we got a question from Griffith. Holy smokes.
Griffin, you should ask about this. There's real money.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have a estimate of how much money would come through?
Yeah, you bet. So the initial settlements with many of the entities included a one-time upfront payment. So the expected distribution for the first year is about $1.2 million of funding that will be available. And then the ongoing funding for the next 10 to 18 years, depending on the various litigants in that suit have different settlement times, is about $733,000.
And that's just for the city of.
That's just in the county and city of Missoula. Yes.
And it's too early to say what that would be spent on.
Yes, because this group assuming the city council approves it on Monday, haven't even met to set priorities yet. So,
Are there certain things you can't spend it on?
yes, it does. The settlement with the entities that were part of the lawsuit requires that it be spent specifically for issues related to opioids. And so the state, on the state website, and I'm not going to attempt to, has about a 4-page document that lays out the categories that it can be spent on. But as long as there is a nexus to opioid use and substance abuse, generally those are acceptable areas for the money to be spent. And so it could, for example, be spent for alcohol use or alcohol and drug testing related to opioids for a treatment court program, maybe that's going to divert people from the criminal justice system, or around housing that might, again, help folks who are suffering from addiction issues. Lots of different areas that it could potentially be spent, as long as there's that nexus back to the actual opioid issue.
Not dust abatement.
Not just abatement.
Bridges, come on.
If a person who was using opioids drove on a road.
That's probably a bit of a.
Crossways coverage.
Probably a bit of a-
I bet it's happened.
It has.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Any other questions or comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for that, Chris. Ally, we have an MOU to consider.
Yeah, good morning. Hi, everybody. So I previewed this a little bit on Monday. This is to do with our Clean Energy Workforce Coalition. We are a part of that coalition with Climate Smart Missoula, Missoula Economic Partnership, Mountain Home Montana, and the city was involved for a little bit, though I don't see them listed on this MOU as a signatory. But we've made great strides. We've recruited an educator and the GRIT program, Girls Representing in the Trades, who are housed out at Missoula College currently, to put together our apprenticeship readiness program. So this is to train our pilot cohort at Mountain Home Montana to be ready for clean energy workforce jobs. And the purpose of this MOU is to establish that collaborative partnership between ourselves at the Clean Energy Workforce and Missoula College. This specific MOU has to do with providing funding and oversight to their program specialists to develop this program for us, for curriculum development and everything that will come after that, including recruitment strategies and detailed timelines and allocating resources for everything that will go into this program. And so the responsibility breakdown here, our Clean Energy Workforce Coalition will be providing $15,000 from prize funds that already exist for a period of 6 months to develop this program. That's going to be matched 50-50 with a grant that Missoula Economic Partnership has solidified from the DEQ. That is a bigger pot of funding that will go towards this program development as well as the program itself, where we'll be recruiting the participants and providing wraparound services so that they can attend and train and not worry about childcare and transportation and food and maybe some kind of stipend as well. They also want to provide them with a set of tools so that when they come out, they're really ready. And then on our end, we'll be doing that relationship building with employers so that we can really stand this thing up and ensure that our program participants who graduate or receive certificates, whatever that looks like, can at least have interviews and have a foot in the door. And yeah, so far the county, from our side, we've taken on more of an advisory role. So the folks who are will be putting in the most time into working with this new program specialist out at GRIT will be Shanti over at Climate Smart and Nicole with Missoula Economic Partnership. Yeah.
Great.
And that program is set to begin in March of 2025. This 6-month component gives them until December 31st of this year to provide the plan and the outline for what the program will be. And then we have a month or two to look over it and have the final say as the Clean Energy Workforce Coalition.
So
Hire the person January or?
Hire them immediately to do program development.
Oh, okay. Develop, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
and then the idea being that the students in the program would begin in the spring or in the
Yes.
summer?
Yeah. begin in March.
And would that, is their program designed just for them, or are they kind of taking classes that already exist at Missoula College and put together it?
So I think that this process over the next couple of months will be to figure that out. The instructor that we're looking to partner with currently runs the GRIT program, Girls Representing in the Trades, which used to be at YWCA, is now housed at Missoula College. And so I think she's going to be modifying a program that is meant to introduce middle schoolers and high schoolers to this realm of work, to be a little bit more concrete for women who are looking to enter the workforce.
Okay, so it's not just Mountain Home residents, it's
This iteration will be a pilot program, a pilot education
Just-
program just for Mountain Home Montana. And so we'll be partnering with them to help us fill in what those wraparound services should be. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
exciting.
Any
It
other
is
questions?
exciting.
I move to approve the resolution, or approve a memorandum of understanding for Missoula Clean Energy Workforce.
Second that.
Any further discussion or comment on this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All
There you
right,
go.
Yeah, thanks. Very
We're
exciting.
excited to begin.
Yeah, it's a great project.
good work. And here we are in early August, and we have a resolution to end stage 2 fire restrictions.
Great.
Chris,
Yeah, so I'm pitching for Adrienne Beck. She sends her apologies. She is actually, our federal folks from FEMA are here today and working with the institution related to the storm, so she's not able to be here. So as folks know, the weather has largely moderated. We've had a few good days of moisture in the area, which has lowered the risk of fire out on our landscape, although it's still present. But because of those increased moistures, we're asking you to move us out of stage 2 restrictions. So this will lift the prohibition of using things like chainsaws and lawnmowers, small engine appliances until 1 in the afternoon. We'll also allow for campfires again in designated campgrounds, not everywhere, but in designated campgrounds. And that's the main components of what will come out. Our partnering agencies, the forest, the NRC, those will also come out this week from stage 2 based on that. We are predicted to kind of have this continued pattern of cooler temperatures with some better recovery overnight and some moisture for the next few weeks. And so that's why we feel comfortable moving out of stage 2 in what is an unusual time for us to be moving out of stage 2 in early August. So.
And I'd asked Adrienne this earlier, but I've forgotten. The website where a person can look to see what criteria has to be met to change stages is what?
I was actually just trying to pull that up so that I could get folks there, but the internet keeps disconnecting in here, the Wi-Fi. It's firerestrictionsmontana.org, I think.
Yeah.
So and if I can get the connection back before we end, I'll make sure to get that back up for folks.
hey, shall we do this?
When is it effective immediately?
So when you sign, it will be effective on private property in Missoula County, effective immediately. The state and Forest Service technically don't move out until this weekend, just because of the way their process works. We try to all go in together and all come out together, but the days vary just a little bit because of the difference in federal and state process from the county process. But
I would request the board approve a resolution to end stage 2 fire restrictions.
Second.
Further discussion or comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Is it
Okay.
mtfireinfo.org? Is that what we're?
The word restriction is in there.
I think that is the short handle, but there's like
It has a restrictions map.
so we'll just use that one. We'll use mtfireinfo.org.
Okay.
Thanks.
There we
We'll
go.
get people to the right place, so.
Okay, final action item, a request to appoint a member to the Missoula Consolidated Planning Board. Maddie.
Hi. So we have, originally it was for an alternate position, but we do now have a member spot open, an active member spot open. Dave Loomis has sent in a letter of resignation. He is moving. So we'll have you sign a
Nice.
Okay, we can
certificate.
do that.
Thank you. And I did have one applicant, Danny Oberweiser. So we request the board appoint a new member to fill the vacant term, and it's through December 31st, 2025.
And I missed the interview. Is this a competent individual?
Oh my gosh, very much so. He's a 2 decades in the planning world. Knows his
He
stuff.
does, from my understanding, he also has gone to the meetings and knows,
Very
Yes,
yes, he's
Yes.
very active in it.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we'll be glad to have him. I would, move we put Danny Oberweiser on the board.
Second.
further discussion or comment on this appointment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so ends our action items today. We have 2 items of correspondence. Does Chet or who wants to speak to this first one? Nature Conservancy, U.S. Forest Service, Placid Fawn Project.
Yep, I can do that, Dave. Commissioners, this is a request for a letter of support for the Nature Conservancy working with the U.S. Forest Service on the Placid Fawn Project. This is actually an effort that's been underway. The commission submitted a letter of support last year in August for this same project. Nothing has changed with the project. It's a little over 9,000 acres that would transition private timberlands as part of all of those other efforts that have been ongoing for about 20 years. These would be located kind of immediately. There's a couple different parcels, but immediately to the west and then kind of northwest of Placid Lake and then west of Seeley Lake in that general vicinity. And these are some of the private timberlands that would be converted over to public ownership. This would go via the Nature Conservancy to the Forest Service. The purpose for the letter is really just to support the next phase of funding requests from Land and Water Conservation Fund. So this would go into a FY26 LWCF request. So it's just essentially continuing our support for what we had supported last year, but looking at the next phase of funding to complete the project.
And Chad, it looks like you have, you may not know, you have an agitated constituent in your office.
I do, very agitated sitting back there.
Any questions on this letter? So, pretty straightforward. Sounds good. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
And are you handling the next item 2, our Aspire subdivision letter?
I certainly can. I think Tim Worley is also
Tim.
on the line. Karen is obviously out today, but this is a letter that is basically outlining some requests from the commission to council, to city council in relation to the Aspire subdivision. There had been a number of different requests from the community to the commission to essentially ask for some support on some of the existing conversations the commission has had in the East Missoula community, prior planning discussions we've had, and then obviously some of the zoning work that we've done recently. The community of East Missoula was very engaged. It recognizes the process the city is under and the jurisdiction of the city in decision-making relative to planning, but just asks that some of these things would be considered. And then in addition to this letter, of course, any other comment, which includes staff comment that has been working in conjunction with the city, and any other public comment that's gone into that process to date.
And we're sharing this with the councils,
The city council.
but I mean, like East Missoula.
Will they know that we did it?
We can certainly
Yeah.
send it to them.
We can, and-
Oh, sorry, thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
They are on the CC list here,
Great, okay.
as a matter of
Great,
fact.
it's a great letter.
Any questions or comments on this?
I'm glad we can do this.
Yeah, thank
Did
you.
you see this?
Thanks for.
Okay.
Thanks for
We
the
will,
work on this.
Yeah, thank you. We will get that signed.
Oh,
right,
this-
thank you.
We signed this.
Yes, and these 2.
Okay.
Okay, and moving on to discussion items. I think we probably covered the wildfire update.
We did.
And next we have our continuing series of budget enhancement requests. Today, we are going to begin with Chris talking about facilities item.
So commissioners.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Yes.
Can we send this one to Mr. Baxter too?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Pitching here for Jason Hauser, who's a little busy today. Just really quickly, Missoula County has a program where we provide automatic external defibrillators in several clinics because the public heavily utilizes them and as a safety feature. We originally got many of those through a grant program, and a lot of them are now coming to the end of life. And so this contract is to move this into our first aid program. We have a company that we contract with. Synthesis is the name of that company. They come around and replace all of the medical supplies in our various buildings, stock the first aid kits. This would just allow us to move our automatic external defibrillators into that same program. So they would come around, make sure that they're functioning, make sure that the batteries are charged as part of their normal review of our various first aid kits throughout the various buildings. And so this enhancement request just allows those to move into to that program. It's a one-time budget request this year to get us caught back up to have kind of more current and make sure that all of them are in good working order, and then see that potentially as an ongoing request in FY26, assuming the program works well. Here's my short recap of the AEDs.
Any question on, have we ever used any?
Our AEDs have been used in the courthouse.
Appropriate courthouse.
Let me clarify. They've been deployed. They've not actually, to the best of my knowledge, we've never actually had to shock somebody with them, but it was brought out because we had somebody who met the criteria, which was that they were down and they appeared that they were not breathing. I don't believe we've actually.
Turns out they were just
shock anybody, to the best of my knowledge, although I can certainly double check with Adrian, who gets those notices if they've actually been used to shock, but I know they've been out of their box. And I don't believe we've ever actually shocked.
Glad we can
So,
update.
there being a fine line between the AED being taken out of its case and actually, so.
That is good to know. Griffin, it looks like you were almost poised for a question there.
No,
You were not, okay. Okay. That dispenses with that item. So surveyor,
Yeah, so
what do we have here?
Spain may not be able to be on. He's actually on vacation this week, so I'll cover this one as well, commissioners. So this is a request for a one-time ability for this next year to contract out some of our land surveyor functions. So you might recall that our long-term surveyor, Steve Nide, retired from Missoula County, and Michael
Hester.
thank you, has taken his place. We do have a bit of a backlog of services that need to be done in the land surveyor's office. That is, as you all know, a very difficult position for us to both recruit and retain, because it requires not only being a surveyor, but passing a special state test to be a land surveyor for a local government. And so this is just a request for some one-time funds in that department to help clear out some of that backlog with Steve Nide's retirement. And so that's what this request would do, is just hire a short-term temporary person. It would end up being somebody like a Steve Nide or a firm potentially that meets the state requirement.
I'm thrilled we would do this. I've heard from some folks out in the development community about this backlog, so glad we can attend to it.
Yeah.
So again, just a one-time request to get us caught up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, how much?
Hang on, I can pull that up. I did not pull this one because maybe Shane's gonna be on. I will pull it up while maybe Ken talks briefly about aerial imaging, if that is okay.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions about the surveyor position? Okay, Ken.
I'm representing Mike Snook today. So he's on vacation in Norway. And
As one would this time of year.
yeah. So I'm talking about aerial imaging. So you all know our property information system. That imaging, the base map that's underneath that needs to be updated. We maintain that. Our current base map imaging is relatively old. Last I recall, it was something like 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, something like that, but don't quote me. So this is a 3-year contract with a company out of Utah called Nearmap, I believe.
Have we talked about this
We have.
multiple
We
years
have.
in the past?
Failed to get this done.
Yeah, take another swing at it. Mike has negotiated maybe a savings deal to make it a little bit more palatable. It's $42,000 a year for 3 years. So whatever that adds up to. And that will update us 1 flight per year, and we'll fully update our base map, by the end of 2027, I suppose. To get us and all of our basically GIS based applications that Mike spends a lot of good hard time on, back up to spec, and that's really important. And you've probably heard the pitch before, but it's really important for maintaining our assets on the ground and all of the other programs that rely on that GIS data. So.
And it would cover all of Missoula County?
All of Missoula County. All private land of Missoula County, not public land, but that's mostly immaterial in this case. So.
This is a lot more affordable than the previous
Yeah, so,
Did go down.
yeah, it went down because it's being,
Polaroid camera.
they are actually, yeah, they're gonna parachute and just take pictures and do that a few times. This is the deal. So, yeah, it really just went down a lot because it's being spread across 3 years and it's only one flight per year. So it's not the Cadillac version, it's the.
And do you have a sense that technology changed?
Yeah, we're getting a lot higher resolution. I don't have off the top of my head what resolution, but we're going from, I don't remember what it ends up being, maybe 1 meter map to,
Price is way better.
yeah, price is way better, for sure. So,
That's good news.
Questions?
The last time was a little over 69,000.
Okay.
For that contract for flight survey.
Thank you. And we talked about the state's also doing something with its aerial imaging. Is there a way, I mean, there's no way to coordinate or be
This is
part
the-
of?
yeah, this is the cheapest option we've been able to devise thus far, because the state also doesn't want to do it for free.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I would love that, honestly.
We did reach out, based on your conversation with some folks at DOR at a Mako conference, I believe, to try and partner up with them and see if the state had funding to put forward to this. They were really interested in getting the imagery, but did not have funding in their
Funny.
program to.
Because when we were talking with the governor, I thought didn't he mention this?
I don't know.
Where did this come from? I feel like I'm talked with one of you about this in the past few days.
Wasn't me, yeah.
Maybe I
The
just.
state is running on fumes. They have no money available.
Okay, well, thank you regardless.
Use all
Yeah.
that cash to fill cushions. Fund shortage.
Oh,
We're gonna do it. In 20s.
yeah, that seems bad.
Cash bets. Okay, any other questions on aerial imagery? I think that's everything. Anything else?
That is everything for today.
Efficiency.
Okay.
Thank you.
Griffin, any burning questions?
Taking
I think that's another statement.
Okay, tying with Chris on opioids.